60 seconds to comply.
I think you'd better do what he says, Mr. Kenny.
You have 60 seconds to comply. This is minute 28. Part man.
Pod machine. All pod. This minute begins with Tyler putting a party crown on Robocop and ends with a drunk saying, "I am a repeat offender. I repeat, I will offend again. I get my orders from a higher source."
You're missing one bit of dialogue at the end. Shut up.
Yeah, that's right.
And that, yeah, very crucial. Yeah. And we are joined this time by Duncan Shields of lots of podcasts, but mainly, chronologically speaking, Animatronic, which I'm on, and Time Bandits. I don't know if that's got a name yet.
That's just called the Time Bandits Minute. That's all.
All right.
Hello, welcome, thank you. Greetings, programs. It's nice to see you.
Greeting programs, yes.
Very happy to be here. Very, very happy. That's actually kind of appropriate to say greetings, programs here, I guess. But yeah.
True.
I guess we are dealing with concepts involving men in machines.
Yep.
So it feels appropriate.
Yeah, almost like an inverse, kind of.
Yes. So, I've just started recently listening to Chronologically Speaking, and we were saying off mic how Tron's a bit dated in some aspects. I think you get that a bit in Robocop
Sure.
as well. You know, you think of like some like the fashions and stuff like that. It's like, wow, this feels really 80s, but then like the concepts of anything just feel timeless.
It's hard for, I think, a lot of films. Whenever you see a film's version of what the future's going to be, it's always rooted in what the present is. So you see like the 60s version of what the year 2000 will be like, and it just looks like looks like the 60s, and there's no way around it. Or like Michael J. Fox goes to the future in Back to the Future 2 or whatever. It's like, wow, this is a pretty bargain basement view of the future here, and it's hard to create a view of the future that doesn't completely echo your own present.
Yeah, because it does change, but in ways you can't predict. So
Yeah.
I think in terms of fashion and how we decorate our houses and stuff, it's not super different. We're not living in a Star Trek future or something.
Well, shit. That's exactly what I was hoping to spare you from.
They always they go too far. Like, I think that's what I liked.
Yeah.
I liked Logan because Logan was in Logan it was with the year 2028 or something, or 2029, but he was a limo driver, and he was driving this Lincoln. But it was like...
It wasn't like it had hover wheels or anything like that.
It wasn't a flying car with lasers on the front. It was just kind of like a model that conceivably... A few more bells and whistles on the dashboard. And
he strapped Cyclops to the front.
Light the way, Rudolph. Light the way.
How has no one done that before?
Someone must have. At some point, somebody must have.
Yeah. When it comes to Robocop or Tron or whatever, the 80s becomes this place rather than a time. Sort of like how if you set something in the medieval era or the 1940s or just wherever it is, it becomes a fantasy world in and of itself. There are so many kids watching these things who are so disconnected from those time periods that it's just a fantasy land.
It is kind of weird that we see Robocop as an 80s project, like the actual movie itself. We don't think of it as a futuristic thing. It feels rooted in the 80s, but it's supposed to be 2040. But
Oh, really? It's supposed to be 2040?
We've been trying to figure it out because it's not explicitly stated.
Oh, okay.
There's some context clues in novelization based on Sylvester Stallone's stated age.
Oh, okay.
We brought it up in previous minutes, but yeah, it's roughly about 2043 or something like that. But I think we forgot to ask you a very important question. Indeed. How did you get into the Robot Cops?
I saw it when it came out, and this sequence here is my favorite in the film, so I'm stoked to be a part of it.
Spoilers, it is a phenomenally good sequence.
Yeah, so many people were asking for this scene.
Yeah.
No,
well,
you get top priority.
Well, I think whoever was before me snagged the 3 minutes previous to this before I spoke up.
Yeah.
So I think, but
it was Rick of Mad Max Minute, so you can fight him if you want.
We'll set up the Thunderdome.
Set up the Thunderdome. So, okay, I want to talk...
Oh, hang on. In that situation, is it the Thunderdome or is it the grid in the games? I don't know.
Oh, yes.
Now, if there was a Thunderdome on the grid, if I ever saw that, realized there is kind of a Thunderdome on the grid. I guess Clues Arena is kind of the Thunderdome.
Duncan, in our season 3 for Tron Uprising, we need like a
Thunderdome.
No, we need a Thunder...
2 programs enter, 1 program leaves. 2 programs enter, 1 program leaves.
What's the American version of... Because we got the Blazing Swan, where you go out in the desert and there's like
Blazing Swan. Survivor? What are you talking about?
No, like it's this party sort of thing out in the desert.
Burning Man.
Burning Man.
Burning Man. Yes, we got Blazing Swan.
You
here.
got the
Burning
Blazing
Man,
Swan.
yeah.
I've never heard of the Blazing Swan. That's a way better name than Burning Man. That's wild. Is it the same sort of deal?
It's the same thing, but it's more Mad Max because it's literally in Australia.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But our state emblem is the black swan, so it's Blazing Swan. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's already been burned.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah, toasted swan. There you go.
But yeah, Tron, Burning Man / Blazing Swan, that would be amazing. What would that look like? I want to know.
Oh man, out in the middle of the wastes of the grid. There's a Burning Man festival. Oh, that's. I'm gonna write that because I've been writing down all our season 2 notes and season 3 notes. But
Good. You got to send them to me. I'll make the Twitter account.
okay.
So just quickly going back, so you say you saw this when it first opened. So you see this in the cinema?
In the cinema, which was a way that people used to watch movies.
Yeah, back in the before times.
Yeah, back in the before times. So it wasn't. This is post silent. So they were talkies mostly, and I really. But this is okay. This is probably my favorite sequence in the film because I mean, like I said, I missed the minutes before this one, but like Officer Murphy is dead, like dead. You know, like he's the hero of the film, and it's not like he took a bullet in the chest, and they were like, "Hang on, man, you hang on," and there's like a little quote unquote suspense before he pulls through. This is like he gets shot in the face. Yeah.
I used to be a police officer until I took a bullet in the head.
Yeah, graphically and statistically, and then if I'm remembering correctly, it cuts to black, and I remember sitting there in the theater. I remember the blackness because it's this eerily quiet, packed theater, and all of us, you could hear a pin drop because all of us are like, "What the hell?"
Nice.
It's been black for like 30 seconds. Did the movie just end? What am I watching? You know, and then it was so tense that the theater actually jumped when the screen flashes static for a second. What is it? We were like, there was some popcorn in the air for a second. And then when the technician is like, he's up, we're rolling. Nope, we're rolling. Shit. And then it goes to black again. You're like, what is happening? You know, and then we all started realizing that they're literally going to do this whole sequence POV style. And it was like cinema history. This is like you know, Heath Ledger's Joker tape to Batman in The Dark Knight, or the end of Usual Suspects, or whatever other semi-religious cinematic experience you can think of. That's what this whole sequence was for me. So
that's why going
That
to the
is
cinema
amazing.
is just you can't replace that experience because
that
you
communal.
get that sense of how people are reacting to these things. I saw a screening of Akira last year, and that was
I was there.
yeah, you can't beat that because suddenly everyone was reacting to the things I was reacting to, and knowing that I wasn't alone in that experience.
Yeah, everyone keeps going to sing about, oh, cinema's dead, and we don't. We can just go time. We got big enough TVs, but there is something real, especially like centrally overwhelming of a cinema as well, which can actually really add to that engagement. And as long as it's the filmmakers are adding to that, it can really ramp up the experience. Slight dig at Zack Snyder's 4:3 vision of Justice League. Jesus fucking Christ.
So 4:3, what is that? Is that like...
That's TV format. Oh, apparently it's for IMAX, even though this movie is never going to get shown at IMAX.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
This is one of those movies I've never seen in the cinema, and I've always kind of wanted to. I saw this in VHS back in the day. And I could just kind of imagine what I would have felt like. But it's good to hear you say about that, because in the previous minutes, that was a deliberate choice by the filmmakers. Ed Neumeier wanted 15 seconds of black, but the studio would not let them have that because they knew, even a few seconds would feel like an eternity in the cinema. So I'm really glad that you got that.
It was the best choice. If it had just fired up immediately, like that's how you knew. It's like when you're in good hands, like when you're in the cinema and you're in good hands, and they do something like
yes,
like the balls of 15 seconds of black. Right? Like that's just like Like no doubt the
Wow.
producers were like, "Oh, hard pass," because that's a hard, no, don't,
Yeah.
you can't, don't like. But it was so
Yeah.
effective because there was a, well, anyway, yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, it was a very good choice of them to do that.
I think you got some good minutes here because this is one of those sequences where both the remake and the original line up. The plot beats.
Yeah, the plot
and
beats.
there's a lot to compare. I think.
It's amazing to compare them to.
Oh,
because you're like,
yes.
wow, the remake got it entirely wrong.
yeah.
It was like, let's
Spoilers.
deliberately miss every possible emotional beat. Perfect.
But
Done.
it could have almost worked. It could have, but yeah.
Well, yeah. If you want to go through it sequentially here, so we got this New Year's party. Is it a New Year? Okay.
Yeah,
well,
it is.
It is a
Because
New
I
Year's
was
party.
wondering if it's a New Year's party or if they're just celebrating his, successful alpha test or whatever. He's officially.
Well, she said Happy New Year.
Oh,
she kisses
right.
him on the screen.
Well, there you go then.
and then she falls over.
Yeah. But I like, yeah.
They also they don't realize Robocop's awake until they're already halfway through partying. So the context clues
Oh,
is
that's
it
right.
is a
She's
new
like,
year.
oh, look, he's watching us or whatever. Yeah.
Hello.
And I love that. What's this actor's name here? Dr. Tyler. What's her?
Dr. Talia.
Sage.
Sage, yeah, Sage.
Yeah,
Sage Parker.
She's so good here at acting tipsy. I like her, like the way she clumsily takes off her glasses and then does the kiss and then loses her balance when she leans back. It's like, are
Drunk
you
acting.
So-
yeah,
It's hard to do.
yeah.
So
it
the
is.
fall was actually
was it?
accidental.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, confirmed by Verhoeven. So it was just that thing where it was an accidental thing, but it felt so
Yes.
perfect for the moment they kept it in.
So good.
She was just going so method.
I'm really glad. I'm really glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear that because it looks supernatural. So I'm very, very happy to hear that.
Because bad drunk
Yeah.
acting just makes people look like they're either tired or they're doing an impression.
Well,
Johnny Depp.
yeah, and like there's I'm doing the Time Bandits minute now. We just did some minutes with Ian Holm pretending to be drunk Napoleon, and
Oh wow, you're that far in.
he's acting so like he's an amazing actor. But the thing I've heard about drunk acting is you have to pretend like you're not drunk.
Yes, you can't. You're not drunk. You're not.
Yeah.
You
The
really
more you-
aren't.
yeah.
And you gotta convince them that should not.
Like there was
Sorry, that was my
what
shit.
was the
Don't
one? End of the World. What was the third
World's
Simon?
End?
World's End. The World's End. Yeah, because they do a pub
that's so
crawl in
good.
6 pubs, but they're shooting out of sequence. So Simon Pegg had to sort
Yes.
of master 6 levels of drunkenness, and sort of okay, which pub are we in? Okay, so I'm this drunk. Okay, and he had to sort of switch gears depending on the take. I thought that would be a fascinating sort of thing to explore.
He deserved an award for that. I bet he didn't get any awards for it, but yeah.
That is a phenomenally good film. Yeah, that is one of those movies you just think it's a dumb comedy, but man, it's got so much depth. It's like wow.
Of the Cornetto trilogy, I think it's not as strong as the other two, but
Yeah.
but it's they're solid 3 there.
I think it's probably the most emotionally solid movie of the bunch.
I could dig that,
as
sure.
As a personal statement, but my favorite is probably still going to be
Hot Fuzz all the way,
'cause
yeah.
I think that's just. I love all of them. All the Cornetto trilogy is brilliant. And speaking of cops, how's that for a fucking segue?
Yeah. So okay, one thing I like about this whole sequence is that it's kind of like the opening credits of Lord of War. You ever see the Nicolas
I've
Cage
seen that.
movie Lord of War?
No,
the
I've heard that's
it's
interesting.
a great film, a startlingly
Oh
great
yeah, that
film.
one.
Like
I've not seen it, but yeah.
shockingly good film. It's not the cheese that you normally expect. It's dark and it's beautiful and it's really, really well done. But the opening credits, you can probably look them up on YouTube. The opening credits is that song, "There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear." That kind of stop.
Oh,
children,
yeah.
What's that sound?
Yeah.
And it's
That song's been stuck in my head lately, and I don't know why.
it's the production of a bullet, and it's it's a bullet's POV. So the bullet
Yeah, Corridor Crew covered it. That's where I heard
comes
about
out of
it,
the
yeah.
casing into a conveyor belt, into it gets polished, it gets put aside, it gets put into a box, it gets shipped somewhere, it gets taken out, it gets shipped somewhere else, it's loaded into a gun, and it gets shot out of an AK-47 into the face of a 13-year-old African fighter at the end, and that's the beginning of the movie. But it's this POV of the bullet, and it really reminded me of this whole sequence here, where it's all told through this POV, small chunks throughout time, because I figured this whole sequence takes place over the course of a year, maybe.
Yeah.
You know,
It's supposed to be 3 months
Okay,
from what I've
okay.
read, and from things like in the script and the novelization.
That is amazingly quick.
Well, yeah.
There must have been prototypes. They must have made some other Robocops before this.
I think in the beginning, like they've at least been planning, designing, and working on the blueprints of the electronics, leading up to them finally getting the approval for the project.
Do they experiment on animals? Are there Robo Bunnies?
oh, I hope so.
Oh,
Did you see there's a great comic called We 3.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
I've been meaning to read
good,
that.
man. They got a Robo Dog,
yeah.
a Robo Bunny, and a Robo Cat.
I've heard.
And,
Just the idea of a Robocat just makes me go, that's just more effective. But
so yeah, but we see like the rough edges of production, and then like this New Year's Eve, and then now we're gonna show the powers that be and parade RoboCop around to get, I don't know, funding and votes and backers or whatever. And here we get Miguel Ferrer, the amazing Miguel Ferrer as Morton.
Yeah.
And he's telling the suits in the room that it's his great pleasure to introduce RoboCop, and takes the plastic off the camera, urging him forward in an almost tender way, saying, "That's for you. That's for you." About all the applause. And then I love Felton Perry here.
It's a Frankenstein moment.
It's a Frankenstein
He's
movie.
alive.
But he's so gentle, right? It's kind of like, it's like a Dr. Frankenstein was like, "There you go, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wake up. Do you want a biscuit? You're okay. You're okay." And
But yeah, Miguel Ferrer, we've definitely become big fans, if we weren't already. It's
Yes.
just,
well, he doesn't.
perfect.
I like Joe here, or Felton Perry, when he leans in and he's like, "Go Robo," and I just.
Yes, I love the go.
I immediately felt like Rachel McAdam in Mean Girls, where I'm just like, stop trying to make Robo happen. It's not going to happen. Like,
well, it's just funny because even in the novelization, like the writer Edna Hard doesn't refer to RoboCop as RoboCop. He just uses the shorthand of Robo pretty much
Really?
throughout when the transformation happens. Yeah. And you kind of just like, it kind of just glances off your brain after a while, because you're just like, if you know it's RoboCop. At those first few ones, you're just like, just call him RoboCop. Was it really that important to save time by not typing 3 extra letters?
RC, just initials.
Yeah, oh god. Well, you can't call it RC, because then you might get confused for a Transformer.
Oh shit, what are we gonna do now?
Or that kid who is in the 4th season of Knight Rider.
You look like crap.
Fuck you, kid!
Obscure references no one cares
holy
about.
moly, that's a deep cut, Courtney. Deep cut. Wow.
I am however many months into my 1980s television binge, so you know what? That's how my brain works
That's
now.
applause-worthy. Nicely done. I love this. I love this trick here, where as he walks through the applauding executives, he walks past a monitor, and the monitor seems to be showing a feed from a camera pointed at him. So we see. It's our first glimpse, I think, of RoboCop. We see him walking on the monitor. But if it was an actual live feed, all we would see is Paul Verhoeven on the back of a movie camera dolly, or a dude carrying a Steadicam. So it's just...
It is a really well
Composited.
it's just a piece
shot.
of footage queued up, but it's off. And the other thing I like about it is that it's off in the corner. It's not featured. And I think that's half of the success of this film, and to a greater or lesser extent, the success of Star Wars or Blade Runner or any of those fantastic films, is that no one is amazed by what's happening. Like every time I pull my phone out of my pocket, I'm not like, whoa, like that. And a lot of the tech that I have is from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and it's just around, but sci-fi films, some of the other ones, the lesser ones, they have to showcase every effect. and cool thing, right? And that's, I think, a major failing with the Robocop remake, is they're like, check out these effects, and it's like, you just take a second and just let it exist in the background, because that's so much more immersive. You don't have to show it. And
so I was going to bring this in the commentary. They literally talk about this in some detail. Basically, the idea was that they didn't want to, or particularly Paul Verhoeven didn't want to rush the reveal of Robocop. They wanted to kind of prolong it a little bit and show it in stages. The idea is that they didn't want to bring in Robocop bluntly. That's the term they use, is bluntly. The thing they were actually deathly afraid of was that people were going to start laughing at Robocop. Because, and I think the Ed 209 reveal actually kind of supports this, because Ed 209, this absurd thing, just blunders into the room. We're supposed to laugh at Ed 209, even when he butchers
Kinney.
He butchers
for like
Kinney.
a minute and a half, just like
the audience is laughing.
I swear to God, he gets shot for like a minute. And I remember in the theater just one of the funniest parts of the movie is after that happens and somebody says, "Somebody get a paramedic." I'm like, oh my God.
Yes. And that was a deliberate thing. They did not want to do that, especially at this point where we're invested, because we have seen the POV. We're living through Robocop for a good chunk of like 3 or 4 minutes at this point. So yeah, it is very important that we as the audience are relating to Robocop. Sorry, he's our protagonist.
Yeah.
We don't get, realistically speaking, a full hero shot of Robocop until maybe the drugstore? The deli shot. We don't really get like a full-on hero shot until maybe then, with full lighting and all that. And I've definitely got notes on how the reveal is throughout these next few minutes, because it is amazing.
Very, very well done. And I'm all in with the way that they did it. I just kept, like, what was that? There's a Hitchcock movie where there's a murder happening inside a room. And the camera's outside the room.
He used to do a lot of that type of stuff.
Both of them go off to the side, and then neither of them come back, and you can hear them struggling. And some critic was like, "You can't do that. You have to show the violence. You can't just have the violence happen off screen. What are you, some kind of coward?" And he's like, "No, I'm going to do it this way, and go to the theater when it's there and see what happens. Sit in the back and watch the audience." And when that scene takes place, everyone in the audience was like leaning to the left, trying to peek around the door to like get a look into the room.
Cinematically, there is a great thing about that, is you're using the audience's imagination to ramp up the scene. That's why Psycho is effective. You're not seeing the physical murder of Janet Leigh. You're not seeing the knife going. You're seeing the knife coming in and out of the shot. You're seeing the screams. You're seeing the blood in the drain pipe. You're seeing shots away. It's not graphic at all, but that is one of the most memorable murder scenes in cinematic history, because you're filling in the blanks. You, the audience, are going, fuck.
Alien versus Prometheus. Alien is incredibly bloodless, except for the one scene. Most of it, it's implied violence, and Prometheus is just more like, let's show everything. Let's just show every little detail of how these characters die. And I mean, there's pros and cons, but
sorry, when the Reservoir Dogs ear cutting scene too. The camera just pans away, and all you can hear is screaming, and people are still covering their face with their hands. Like, I can't watch it. I'm like, it's literally a shot of the wall. There's nothing. You're still.
There are actual studies on if people don't look at a scary scene or a violent scene in a horror movie, they're actually suffering more than if they look at it.
No doubt.
Yeah, your brain hates you and wants to think of the worst things possible.
Oh yeah, because it makes beautifully customized horror for you. Only you know what really upsets you, whereas if I'm watching something made by someone else, well, yeah, their weird phobia about whatever is not what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
Well, this is why sometimes low-budget horror can be a lot more effective than high-budget horror, because with a low budget, you don't have the money to show the gore, the blood, the violence and such. And so sometimes just implying that, cutting away, it's a money saver. It truly is, but it also really is effective storytelling. Whereas, like, just going back to Aliens and Prometheus, like, not necessarily those two movies, but like Alien, it was a relatively low budget film compared to now. And everything's shot in the darkness, and it's very implied. I mean, people didn't realize that the xenomorph didn't have a skull underneath the transparent dome until it got to HD and we could see it in better lighting conditions. But when you're sitting in the darkened room in that VHS, you're scared shitless.
That's a real skull, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yes!
If I die, please give my skull to Ridley Scott. Put it in a xenomorph.
I'll deliver it personally.
Oh, thank you. But that reminds me about just less is more. And magic is another one where if you want to depict a character using supernatural powers, sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
So I was watching Carrie, Stephen King's Carrie, and One Division in the same few days. And it really struck me that I actually kind of prefer the way Carrie does it, where you almost question, wait, did she just shatter that mirror? Did she just do... That's spookier to me, whereas, modern magic in movies will be just full-on a CGI fest. You will see every little detail. It'll be so overblown, and I can't connect to it in the same way. It doesn't feel real.
But that's also a genre thing going on there as well. Like a superhero genre magic is going to have a different portrayal than, say, a horror magic.
Well, I wonder, the recent Carrie remake, which is apparently terrible, I haven't seen it, but I can just imagine that the magic would be, like, when she shatters the mirror, and then it just pieces itself back together. You just see the after effects of that. You don't see her actually doing it in the original film.
Yeah. Well, that brings one of my all-time favorite sequences in movie history to a close, right? When they finish, and then we cut to the police station, and we see a bunch of Omnicorp cars and vans pull up, and I love that they got the name Omnicorp, like Everything Corporation. It's so smart. It's kind of like how Tron managed to get NCOM without a fight, because there wasn't anything called NCOM that existed, and it's so perfect. And
yet it sounds like something you would expect from an 80s corporation.
Yeah, and it's before everything started to be called COM, right? Like 10 years later, all corporations were called like something COM. But Omnicorp's also like a tongue-in-cheek, just another level of satire. And I think Robocop is one of those rare projects like Grand Theft Auto where it's satire that works on levels, because like Grand Theft Auto was made by a bunch of Scottish teenagers who it's a parody of America that America doesn't get, right? Like if you're just looking for mindless explosions and good pacing and a few laughs, Robocop is your jam. If you're looking for a biting genius level breakdown of everything wrong with today's America, Robocop is also your jam. If you're looking for a dark comedy, Robocop is your jam. Like, and it's like GTA. Like, so much of the humor comes from the fake commercials and the levels of satire that are in it. And if you're not equipped, if you're not equipped to get it, then you can still have a whale of a time. But if you are equipped to get it, then you can be like, wow, this is very well done.
And did you work on any of the GTAs?
Oh yeah, I worked on a bunch of them. Yeah, I worked on Vice City,
I did not
San
know
Andreas, GTA 4.
Oh,
yeah, Vice City.
Vice City, love that game.
I love the soundtrack. Oh my god.
Yeah, I thought they were bonkers when they were going to release a 6 CD box set from Vice City, and it sold like crazy. And I was like, well, what do I know?
Yeah, it's great.
Because was it Flash FM? Was it...
There was a whole bunch of.
But yeah, along those radio stations, like that entire subset of songs is like repeatable.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so good to listen to. No, the other thing I was going to say about Grand Theft Auto is that I think Grand Theft Auto started to lose a lot of the
It did.
parody aspects as it went
It
along.
did,
It started to get really deep, serious storytelling, and that's good. I do appreciate for that. But I kind of started to wean away a bit from that series and kind of went more towards, say, Saints Row, which started off serious and then got really silly, and I kind of love the silliness. And it is still parody. It's still satire and parody, and I love all that type of stuff.
Yeah, we were worried when Saints Row started that they were going to take a big percentage of our audience, but then that ended up becoming just its own wacky thing, and we're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, by the time you get to number 4, and it's just
Totally
like,
just
stop giving a fuck about reality.
foot on the gas, no limits, do what you want. And like, okay, it's chaos.
Too bad Agents of Mayhem was crap, but
But okay, well, now we're inside the police precinct, and it's looking a bit bare bones. Did you ever see Assault on Precinct 13?
I think yeah.
Wonderful movie, some of John
No.
Carpenter's earlier work, but it takes place in a precinct.
I'm going through a John Carpenter phase right now.
It's this precinct's about to shut down, and it's the last night. So there's like a skeleton crew, and this catatonic guy comes in after his child's been killed by a neighborhood gang, and is looking for shelter. And then the gang surrounds the precinct, and so they have to defend themselves. And it's in this,
oh wow.
Abandoned part of town. It's so good. But this is kind of like this kind of police station. Like this police station looks, half of the stuff in it looks like it's from 1975. There's these phones, these old fans, these old
Yes.
staplers, these old, like, the desks look like they're about to fall apart. It's not, like, it's not like totally horrible, but it's like, this is in need of some funding. This station's getting by, and there's no bulletproof glass or protection or anything like that.
Yeah, it really does help reinforce the idea that the police are in dire straits. This whole thing of OCP has been screwing them around, and for God knows how long now. So the funding's constantly being cut because it's run by a money-hungry corporation. But then it also helps reinforce the juxtaposition between, like, the cop and the old-timey cop and the future cop. This gleaming metal man as he walks through, and I love this scene. I love this scene. It's brilliant.
Me too.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop. I was at a trivia contest, a nerd trivia contest, and we got like second or third or a prize for best name or something. But the prize was a VHS copy of Robocop. So I came home and I just threw it on. I still have a VCR. It was like 11:30 or
nice.
something. I'm like, I'm not tired.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna watch it. And one of my favorite things about it is that it puts the pedal down right away. You get the Orion logo, the Detroit skyline, and then Robocop made out of metal flies at the camera, and then we're off. There's none of this 5 minutes of produced by or anything. It's just,
Oh, the modern pre-credit roll.
It's like we've gone back to that old school way of making movies where you just show up 20 minutes late to the movie and you'll actually be on time because there's just the entire credit sequence is actually at the front, not the end.
Yeah.
But it's not showcasing the talent.
Yeah.
It's showcasing the money, people.
Well, here we are. We got a wonderful establishing shot, and this is where we were talking at the beginning. The closing line, there's some drunk guy yelling to the sergeant at the desk saying, "I am what you call a repeat offender." And he goes, "I'm what you call a repeat offender. I repeat, I will offend again," which is a great little play on words. I love it. And and then the desk sergeant is, "Shut up," and he's like, "I get my orders from a higher source." And
From
that
a
line
higher source.
will heavily feature as a callback in the next minute.
Yeah.
I really like that it turns into a callback.
So there is so I'm just looking at the script as you're saying that, and the funny thing is, this is actually one of the parts of the script which is almost line for line,
Oh, cool.
word for word on the screen. The novelization is actually quite different in one major aspect. The reveal of Robocop happens in the OCP boardroom, much like repeating what happens with Ed 209. So like it's, Robocop steps into the boardroom, everyone's like, wow, yay, whoopee, no one gets shot, which is probably, good for people not named Kenny. But everyone's happy except Dick Jones, and so I think it's one of those things. If you look in this as cinematically, there'd be like the cut to Dick Jones scowling. But what's really cool is that this is, because it's still leading on from the POV minutes, and in a novelization, it's done POV style as well.
Oh, cool.
And I just wanted to get to this one part. So this is the bit where Tyler kisses Robocop. White forms all around him, glasses filled with liquid raised in a toast, billowing in the hollow, reedy metal tubes, noisemakers. Did he remember that? The woman leaned forward, her lips parted. God, it's almost like Damakan Jihad. The lips on his flesh? Startling feeling. A woman and child vanishing in the background of his mind. No faces, no names. Never part of his existence. Sensory jolts exploded all around him. Alcoholic breath. Cheap perfume. Really? Thank you, Robo? Electronic currents. A voice laughing over him. Happy New Year, Robocop. So that was it. He was a cop. A good cop. Did he remember that? Good. Very, very good. Click. Darkness.
That's
wow.
Cool.
And that was like the end of the POV shots of the things. And it does do a bit more POV later on. And it's almost like Ed Nahar is trying to subtly imply that Robocop is starting to retain some information. Like he starts to remember how his startup sequence happens. So he's like the familiar,
right.
Even though they've been blanking his memory, like it's almost that thing where he's starting to sense things. So it's a really nice subtle way of introducing this idea that he's still kind of in there, even though he doesn't know it. So props to Ed for that.
I also like how it talks about smells.
Yes, like, you know, it's really giving this idea that Robocop's not just like, he only can just see and hear, like he's got other sensory things going on, which we don't really explore in the movie.
Yeah,
it really makes you wonder what kind of sensor array he's got inside of him.
Can he use sensors that don't even exist yet?
Well, you can see in infrared, so that's one, right?
I'm just hoping he can, you know, get the sensor array rerouted through the deflector dish.
And I hope he can reverse the polarity at some point, you know.
Ed talks about in the commentary that they pretty much knew as soon as they cast Miguel Ferrer that, you know, they knew that the audience was going to love him, because Morton was supposed to be as much as a bad guy as kind of Dick Jones to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But, like, his kind of charm and especially, how he kind of interacts with Robocop, that kind of like fatherly love kind of thing going on. And, like, they were genuinely kind of like going, we know that the audience is going to feel for Bob when he gets murdered, and we kind of didn't want them to, but they kept it all in, which is pretty good.
I'm glad they did.
The only other thing I've got, and I'm using this to reinforce Maggie Mae Fish's trans reading on the Robocop movie, is Bob Norton does call Robocop the best of both worlds, which for me is a reference to Kevin Smith's magnum opus Clerks, where he talks about best of both worlds, the hermaphrodite born.
And that reminds me of Best of Both Worlds, the Lizzie McGuire song sung in the Lizzie McGuire movie from 2003, I think. Or Best of Both Worlds, the season finale and opening of Star Trek The Next Generation, in which Picard becomes a Borg.
Yep. That's where I went, for sure.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that I had the Best of Both Worlds note when I was trying to crowbar Star Trek earlier, so that's perfect.
Oh, I take it back, it was Hannah Montana.
Oh my god.
No, I can't either. It was some Disney thing from when I was a kid, I don't know.
Enough dilly-dallying. I think we've got to try and talk about that movie.
Gaslighting Robocop.
Alex, how do you feel? I feel fine, Dr. Norton.
This minute begins with Robocop having happy dreams and ends with Murphy waking up. And we see some Minority Report screens that are bullshit technology that don't make any sense. That's my first note.
Remember what I was saying about bluntly revealing the Robocop? Here we are, bluntly revealing the Robocop.
Well, sort of. We see parts of him. We see his shoulder. We see like some of his face. We still see we don't get a head to toe reveal like in the store robbery.
But it's still that thing where it's just like, as opposed to the slow build up and the slow burn of reintroducing our audience to this character, it's just like, nope, he's the robot man now.
You know what you came for.
I must admit, cinematically, I do like the blending technique with the 360 camera, and it's a nice visual styling. It's just wish it was better reinforced in a better film.
Yeah, it's not badly done. That's the thing.
I'm so sorry. Are you talking about the remake?
No, I'm still
Okay.
I'm still saying the remake is shit.
I am so I was so lost right now.
Right.
Like, there's
Yeah,
no
so
happy
we-
dreams in this minute.
We reviewed.
Cam, what are you talking
Listen
about?
to an episode, goddamn. So we reviewed the original, and then gaslighting is when we do the remake.
To be fair.
Oh, I see. Okay.
To be fair, Duncan, yeah, we do both of them, and the happy memory minute was literally the last minute.
I'm happy to bag on the film. I just didn't realize that's where we were now. I thought we were going on to minute 29 now. Sorry.
No, we have a unique way of doing our show.
Yeah, gaslighting is where we review 2014, because the whole idea is like, how they manipulate Robocop, is really fucking horrible.
Well, suffer through this awful minute again. Holy God. Frank Sinatra, kill me. What are they doing?
Yeah.
And the cast in this movie, I'm just like, every time I read the cast, I'm like, what happened? Gary Oldman? I think a lot of it's that, and then we get the love of his life. A nice camera trick here, like you're saying, where she's looking right at the camera and then the camera swings and they're dancing. That's low tech. But
Yeah, the transition.
Joel Kinnaman, though. Joel Kinnaman. He's like watching a loaf of bread, though. I don't. He's super ripped and he's really tall, but he's so beige. I just don't find him.
He is the most beige man.
You're not the first guest that's compared him to bread.
Like, more power to him. Everybody needs a career. He's, obviously tries hard, shows up on time, and is a pleasure to work with.
Nice.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be getting
He's
so much
nice.
work. And
I would make a better Robocop, and I'm like 5'3" and a girl.
Yep. I'm 50 with a giant beard, and I would make a better Robocop.
Oh man, Robocop with a beard would be great. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Get that ZZ talking going.
Uphold the law.
Oh, I just had this image of like a Victorian Robocop.
Halt, peasants.
I say, dandy boys, come with me, or there shall be a rumpus. Yeah.
I want to see Cyberpunk Robocop. Steampunk, sorry.
would be
yeah.
lovely.
Steampunk Robocop. Oh my god. Yes.
Ah, fisticuffs, is it? Well, I brought my sidearm. I don't know. I'm going like 30s Hollywood. I
don't know, because that kind of transatlantic nasally radio voice it's not just, it's sort of maybe the preceding 50 years.
It fits. What say, old chum?
Some kind of automatic flintlock.
Beware my blunderbuss.
Oh, there we go.
That I can fit conveniently into this leg socket attachment.
Yes.
I love the idea of Ed 209 with two giant blunderbusses.
All those old, like, hand-cranked machine gun-looking things that go on the back of a wagon. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, I can't think of the name, but they're basically like a chain gun. Yeah. Oh god.
Gatling gun. Yeah.
The Gatling gun.
Gatling gun. That's it. Like a bloody. Oh god. There's got to be steampunk Robocop. Come on.
This minute of the remake here is a prime example of that. They got all the money on screen with all the effects they're trying to do, all the particle effects, all the shifting of we're going from one place to the next and blending between old Sam and new Sam.
Oh, it's just Murphy.
Character's
Yeah,
name is in this one. Murphy, it's still Murphy, right? Yeah, and
It's Murphy, but in name only.
The effects are supposed to be breathtaking, but it's just like without an emotional core.
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't matter at all.
they're almost a little bit too clean in many ways. Like
Yeah.
It really
feels
does.
a little bit too sanitized.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
just- I love that it calls. I'm not sure if it's in this minute or the next minute, but it's like you're in a hospital, and it's just like you're in a fucking lab, man.
Yeah, this
That might
ain't
be
no
next-
hospital.
That might be
buddy.
next.
Yeah,
minute.
there's things I want to say,
Yeah,
and I
it
can't
is.
say it until the next minute.
They all kind of blur together. Well, I think
Yeah,
this
my-
episode's probably gone on a bit too long, and I think we all want to get to the next, and we want to talk more about the good Robocops, because this minute in the remake really doesn't do much. Let's be brutally honest.
Yeah, my one thought I had was, that they were able to detect that he was dreaming. I just had that thought of, oh, that's a great idea that they didn't use yet again, is that, well, what if they could actually read his mind, see everything that goes on inside of his head, and just that level of violation? That would be so fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then you got to think about it. They know that Frank Sinatra's playing, so did they deliberately feed that into his head to try and get it?
They must have asked his wife, what song did you play at your wedding, what was significant, so it must have been that.
Yeah, and they chose the bland generic white guy for the bland generic white guy.
That was one of my least favorite things about this remake was I was like, please God, let his wife and son just be gone. I saw a shot of them in the trailer. I saw them in a trailer and I was like, oh, please don't let half of this movie be he wants to reunite with his family or.
Well, see, the problem is that it doesn't do one or the other. It could have been great if it was a family drama, or it's great as the original Robocop where the family doesn't factor in at all. Instead, they're sort of there, but don't contribute anything to the plot. So,
Yeah.
the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, they throw so much shit in this script as trying to find what the emotional core is to a certain degree. Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? And we keep finding more avenues where this movie could have been phenomenal, but they went in the completely opposite direction as soon as they got there. Like, how many Robocops have we found which have been better than Alex Murphy so far? At least 3?
I think we got like 4 different plots. Yeah.
Yes. It's like, all these people would be a better Robocop. Oh god, I just realized another one. I want to see Michael Keaton Robocop.
Yeah, he might have even been considered for the role considering the time.
I've not heard, but yeah, the original consideration was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and
Yeah.
so glad they didn't do that.
Oh my gosh, totally.
Because I think you do need someone who can really play it straight for the satire to work. Because if he's, you have 60 seconds to comply, like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, move, creep. I do not lie, you're coming with me.
Oh yeah, I need subtitles now.
You're really amping it up there. That's a times 20 accent there. That was good.
If you're gonna do a Schwarzenegger, you can't do a Schwarzenegger at a 1. You really have to kind of aim at 10 for a minimum.
What was that one? There was that answering machine one. It was like, hello and welcome to Arnold's Pizza Shop.
Oh god, that takes me back.
Every pizza has pepperoni and 9mm bullets on it. It was like, it's good. I can't do a very good Schwarzenegger, but.
Oh, I don't think anyone can do a good Schwarzenegger. I don't even think Schwarzenegger can do a good Schwarzenegger.
Hey, zing! I like it.
I do love Arnie. I do love Arnie.
Mad love to Arnie.
Oh right, thanks for joining us for this minute, Duncan. Where can we find you?
You can go along to chronologicallyspeaking.com and you will see a wonderful breakdown minute by minute of 1982's amazing magnum opus Tron. And you will also be able to find a breakdown of Tron Uprising with Courtney here. It's a wonderful podcast.
Yes, and then after that, on the same feed, I guess, will be my Tron Legacy podcast. So all Tron stuff in one place.
Yep. One umbrella.
Yeah.
Ultron all the time.
Yes. That's Ultron, not Ultron.
Yeah. The age of all that space Tron.
The age of Ultron.
Yeah,
That's
you know what? I'm going to contact James Spader, see if he wants to do that.
Yeah.
I think James Spader would do well in a Tron movie. Yeah. As an antagonist character.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just let him in any movie, please. I just watched Mannequin last night, and he's so good. He is so ridiculous.
Oh, God. I
Oh,
have
it's
literally
so
not
much
seen
fun.
that in decades.
What's the one? The
Oh my
Office,
God,
when he was
yes.
in The Office as the new boss. He's like,
Wow.
you think you got something on me? You don't even know my real name. I'm the Lizard King. He's
Oh yeah,
just
Red
like,
Letter Media
oh my God.
edited his audio
He's
from
amazing.
from The Office into Age of Ultron, and it's just beautiful. It actually makes Ultron a better character. I'll remember to put that in the footnotes, or give
I
it to
love
Simon
it.
to put in the footnotes. You know what I mean?
I gotta try and remember to do that. I must admit, I'm a fan of Boston Legal purely for just James Spader and William Shatner. Like, those two are just gold.
When they're on the screen together, that must just be like
Yeah.
dueling banjos. That must have been awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
There's times we just want to edit out every other character interaction, just keep those two. It's like, why are we dealing with this subplot? Get back to them two. Anyway,
Traviandesigns.com, Travan, and patreon.com/TravianDesigns. You got Prometheus, you got Alien Covenant, you got Tron Legacy, you got Blade Runner, both Blade Runners in one movie, like 60 Seconds Comply does the 2-in-1. So yeah, check that out.
you're stealing our style?
I'm stealing my own style, yes.
I guess you can find me on Fandom Crossing, where I do weird shit on YouTube, like vlog stuff, but importantly, Kung Pao Enter the Minutes, currently on hiatus because I'm too busy. More importantly, you can check out this and our other podcasts on things on Spotify, YouTube, Google, whatever, Google Music, blah, 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 blah,
I think you
Apple.
did, yep.
Did I say Spotify? Simplecast, things done. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, rate and review us, all that lovely algorithmic stuff. Thanks again, Duncan, and until next time.
Robocock.